good.
Cool. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is your Git workflow. Now, Git workflow, this is simply some recommendations or suggestions that AWS provides as to how on basically on your branching strategy, how what branching strategy you should be following. That's where your Git workflow comes in. All right. So as part of this, we have three popular workflows that we can choose from. Okay, so we've already looked at your branches, right? So branches is, whenever you want to make some changes but not impact your stable code, we make use of your branches, right? So Git workflow, it's a recipe or it is simply a recommendation for how you should be using Git to accomplish your work in a consistent and productive manner. So to be more productive, to be more consistent, how you can do that, we have some workflows for that. So Git workflows encourages the users to leverage Git effectively and more consistently. And there are three main popular workflows which are accepted and are followed by various tech companies. So we have the centralized workflow, we have the branching strategy, and then we have the Git flow workflow. So three strategies. Okay. So one again, so we have the centralized workflow, feature branching strategy, and then Git flow workflow. Let's look at each of these one by one. Now, in your centralized workflow, what happens is you will have you'll have only one branch, which is your main branch. You will not have any other branches under this. There's only one branch that you will be working with, which is your main branch. That's all. Okay. So you don't create any other branches under this. So this workflow does not require any other branch other than the master. And all the changes are directly made on the master branch and finally were merged on the remote master branch once it is finished. So here you'll have your central repository, you'll have your local repository, and you'll have only one branch, which is your main branch or your master branch. You'll have only one branch. You'll not have any other branches under this. Hold on a moment, I need to get the IP address. So hold on, let me delete this and I'll clone this once again. So um, here you will only have one. Sorry, I'm using the wrong branch. This is what I should. So you will have only one branch, which is your main branch. You will not be creating any other branches under this. You will directly make your changes in the main branch and push it to the central repository, which will again be your main branch. So something like, let's say we'll create one new file and let's say this is S file. We will add this. We will commit this. So let's say this will be your centralized. workflow, and then we will push this. So you are pushing it directly to the main branch. So basically, you will not have any other branches. You'll have only one branch, which is your main branch. That's all. And you will be making the change. This is the one I created yesterday, right? Okay. I don't know why it keeps happening. Yes. But I did not save it yesterday. Okay. So pushing the changes directly to the main branch. Okay, so again under this, you will not have any other branches. You'll have only one branch, which is a main branch. You will make the changes in the main branch and push it to the main branch directly. Right? Now, before pushing the changes, the master is replaced with the remote commits, results in a clean linear history. Now, this is good if you have like only one person in the team. Like let's say only you are working in the team, then fine, you can use this. But if you have multiple people, then this is not really a good option. You should not be using this to make your changes. Make sense? Questions?
No, Ravi.
No,
Okay.
Ravi.
The next option you have is a feature branching, which is a branching strategy. So under this, you will essentially create branches. So you will not be making the change directly in the main branch. You'll create your own respective branches, start making the changes in the respective branches, and then push those branches. So that's basically a feature branching. So master will only contain the production ready code. We won't be making the changes directly in the main branch or the master branch. Any development work that you need to do, you will be converting that into a branch. You will be creating a branch for it. So something like, let's say, um, I want to do something. So we will create a new branch over here. So let's call this as branch 001, right? And then we will go to that branch and we start doing the development work. Whatever the changes you need to do, or whatever the bug fix or development work, anything you want to do, you will be doing it in your respective branches. So this is a change from a feature branch. And then we will add this, we will commit this, let's say feature branch, and we will push this. So git push origin and your branch name. So which in my case would be branch 001. So we will give the username, we will give the password, and this will push the branch, the respective branch to the central repository. So here, there is my branch. And you start testing it from this particular branch. Once you're done with the testing and everything, we go ahead and create a pull request, which is your merge request. All right. So once your testing and everything is satisfied, you'll create a pull request. You'll ask someone to review this, right? So you can see here, this needs a reviewer. So let's say I'll add both of you. So one of you will need to approve this. So we'll say, please review and approve and create this pull request. And once this has been approved, I will go ahead and merge it. So this strategy is your feature branching strategy. So here you will always make use of your branches. You will not make the changes directly in the main branch or in the master branch. Any new changes or any modifications you want to do, you'll be doing it in your respective branches, right? So there can be numerous feature branches depending on the application's development plan. And once a feature is complete, the feature branch is merged with the master branch. Questions?
Among these three workflows, like, which one do, like, do you prefer, or the enterprise prefers?
So in the current organization, we have this also feature branching. So feature branching is very commonly used. So you'll either use the feature branching strategy or the Git flow workflow. And in my experience, at least now, until now, we have not worked with a centralized workflow. Okay. Maximum you will see people using the Git flow workflow. We'll talk about that. If not,
Okay.
the minimum you will see people using is this branching strategy, where each of the developer will have their own branches and they will do the work on their respective branches.
Okay, got it.
All right. Now you also have the option of changing your default branch. Now in our case, the default branch is the main branch, right? So here, if you see, this is my default branch. But if you want to make any other branches as your default branch, you can do that also. It's possible, right? So we'll I'll show that to you in some time. Now the third option you have under this is your Git flow workflow. Now under your Git flow workflow also, we make use of your branches, but there is a proper strategy that we have under this. Now under this, essentially what happens is you'll have your main branch. Okay, now in addition to the main branch, we will have one more branch, which is a very important branch we have. We call that as your develop branch. So under this, what happens is you will have your main branch, which will be pointing to your prod environment. So whenever you want to do a production deployment, you'll always take it from the main branch. Now, in addition to this, you'll have one more branch, which will be your develop branch, right? And then below this, you'll have all your feature branches. So something like, let's say, feature one, feature two, feature three, and then so on. Like, let's say feature one is my branch, feature two is Prokshit's branch, and then feature three is Sedu's branch. So we will have our own changes. So what we will do, so from here, we will deploy this to the dev and I'll test it. You will also deploy to the dev and test it. And then Sedu will also deploy to the dev and test it. Once this is successful, all of these will be merged into your develop branch. Then again from the develop branch, we will deploy it in the, let's say, the UAT or in the QA or any other environment you have, you will deploy it over there. Once the testing is successful, the develop branch will be merged with the main branch. Okay. Now, in addition to this, you'll have one more branch, which we call it as your release branch. And this is what will be used for your prod deployment. Something like, let's say you do a weekly release. So you'll create a release branch every week, and then you start deploying it from this release branch. This way of working, we call it as a Git flow workflow. Does this make sense?
Yes, Ravi.
So under this, again, what happens is you will be working with a lot of branches. So let me clone this repo once again. And then we will have our branch, right? So let's create one new branch here. So let's use this. Let me check out -b, and let's say this will be feature 01. Okay. And then we start making the changes from this branch. So maybe let's say we are creating a file called jenkins.java, just for the sake of example. Okay, so we have created this file. Now let's say we will add this, we will commit this, let's say Jenkins script, and we will push this. So git push origin, and then my branch name. Likewise, let's say you will also, so let me go back to the main branch. So we'll create one more branch. Let's say git checkout -b. Let's call this as develop, or call this as, and let's create one file over here. Let's call this as dot Java. Okay, so we will add this, we will commit this, and I will push this. So now I have two new branches. Right, so I have this branch as well as this branch. I have two different branches, right? Now let's say we will deploy this to the dev environment and we'll test it. We will deploy this also to the dev environment and we'll test it. Now, once we have sufficient changes, okay, like a handful of changes, we will merge all of these things with our develop branch. Okay, so now you can create a branch from the central repository as well. So here, when you click on this, you can give a name. So we are going to create a develop branch over here. So just click on this create branch, and this will create a new branch for us, which will be the develop branch. Now we are going to create a pull request, and so new pull request, and this will be, let's say, Ruby branch and to the develop branch. Okay, so we are trying to do a merge. So create this pull request and please review and approve. Now here, if you see for the reviewers, it says no, it is no reviews. Why do you think it says no reviews?
Because we have not added any reviewers, so that is the reason.
But still, I'm you know, if you remember the earlier cases, it used to clearly say that one approval review is required.
Okay.
In this case, no, it says no reviews. That is because, so let me change this one. So if you see here, if I change this,
Okay, the main. Okay, we're not merging anything to the main branch, so.
right, but we are merging it to the develop branch. Why does it not say that I need an approval?
No, I'm not getting.
Okay, so see, we have different branches here. When I'm trying to merge the change to the main branch, it is telling me that I need an approval.
Correct.
Okay, but when I'm trying to merge with the develop branch, it is not telling me that I need an approval. Why is that? Because the branch protection rule we have created only for the main branch. We are protecting only the main branch. We're not protecting any of the branches.
Okay, got it.
If you want to protect your other branches, then you need to add the rule for those branches as well. Okay.
Oh,
So we'll create this pull request and I will go ahead and merge this. So this will be one branch. Likewise, we will create one more pull request, and this will be between my develop branch and the feature 01 branch. Okay. So again, we'll create this pull request and please review and approve, and we'll create this pull request and we will merge. So like this, what we do is we will be merging our changes to the develop branch. So the strategy we have here is we create our feature branches. Once we have sufficient feature branches, we merge it to the develop branch, and then we again test it in the other environments. Now, once all the testing and everything is successful, we will create one more pull request, which will be between my develop branch and the main branch. So we'll again create this pull request. Now, because the main branch is protected, I will need one of you to review this and approve it. So it's like, having an extra pair of eyes. Please review and approve. So we'll create this pull request. And once one of you approve it, I will go ahead and merge it to the main branch. So once it has gone to the main branch, that means we are doing a production deployment. Once that is done, we will be creating one more branch called your release branch. Now, why do we need to create a release branch, and why not just deploy the changes directly from the main branch? Well, that is to simply continue working. So imagine you have release scheduled tomorrow. Okay. Now you're using your main branch to do the prod deployment. Now, until your main branch has not been deployed to the production, you won't be able to merge any new changes, right? Now, we can overcome that by creating a release branch. So from the main branch, we will create a release branch. So now my changes are fixed, my changes are logged, right? And I can continue making changes to the main branch. So something like I can plan for the next week's release already. So again, make the change, deploy it, and merge it with the main branch. And again, I'll create a release branch. So now I can isolate the release plans accordingly. Make sense?
Yeah, so you explained this concept in the tagging. So, like, what about like,
Yes.
there's an hot fix that we need to do. Do we copy the main branch or the release branch?
We always take it off the main branch.
Okay, okay.
Now, if you're looking at fixing a, because see again what happens is, well, you can take it from the release branch also, because if you're looking at a very particular change, like let's say last week's release,
Okay,
right? Then you will go off the release branch.
okay,
But if you're not worried about that, then you can take it from the main branch. Something
okay,
like
got it.
let's say your main branch has not been updated yet. Okay,
Okay,
then you can take it from the main branch itself, do the hotfix, and go ahead and deploy it.
okay,
So this strategy we call it as your Git flow workflow.
okay,
Okay. Now under your Git flow workflow, your develop branch will be the default branch. Now at any point, if you want to change your default branch, you can go to settings, go to branches. Not here. I think they've changed it. Uh, I think they have changed this option. 1 minute. Um, yeah, they've changed this option. 1 minute. Change. Settings under default branch. Settings under default branch. Settings. Where is it? Yeah, sorry. Under the general settings itself, you can see this default branch. So we'll use this one, two-way symbol. Click on that, and you can choose which branch you want to make your default branch. So click on update. I understand. And this will go ahead and change your default branch. So now my develop branch is the default branch. So like this, you can choose any branch you want. That's up to you, which branch you want to make as your default branch. By default, main will be the default branch. But if you want to change, so under your Git flow, workflow develop will be your default branch. That's about your Git
uh-huh.
flow. Yeah.
Yeah, after changing here, like, do we have to do the git checkout command in the, like, in the git?
Yeah. So here, if you see, this is still pointing to your main branch. On your local repository, it would still be pointing to your main branch. So ideally, what you'll have to do is you'll have to clone the repo once again. So we'll have to clone this once again. And now I should have the develop branch. Now, it's
Okay.
not necessary that you have to clone. This is one way. Now, the other way you have is you can also clone a specific branch. Now, let's say I want to clone the main branch. Okay, so I can run the command for that also. So I can say git clone -b, which stands for your branch, and then I'm telling on the main branch and then the URL. So what this Yeah, so in this case, it is telling me this name, it's already existing. So I'll have to like delete this. What this will do is this will clone, but it will clone only the main branch. Any other questions?
No, Ravi.
Yeah, so under this, you'll have the main branch or the master branch, and then you'll have lots of feature branches. So the feature branches are never merged directly with the master branch or the main branch. So from your feature branches, you will deploy to your dev environment. Once the changes are done, you will merge it with your develop branch. So once the features are ready, commits are merged with your develop branch. And again, from the develop branch, you deploy to your QA environment or your UAT environment. Once it is successful, you will merge it with your master branch. So when there are enough commits on the develop branch, we merge the develop branch with the master branch. Only README files or license files are added after this commit release. So essentially, from the develop branch, we merge it to the main branch. We don't merge the feature branches directly to the main branch. And then we create a release branch, which will be deployed to your production environment. So any new quick fixes which are required are done on the hotfix branch, and this branch can directly be merged with your master. That's your Git flow workflow. Questions?
No, Ravi.
Last thing we have under this is your forking. Now, we discussed about your git clone, right? So git clone is whenever you want to clone the repository to your local machine, we can make use of your git clone command. Now, if you want to copy a repository from one GitHub account to another GitHub account, like in this case, let's say I have this repo, right? So this repo I have now you, let's say you want to copy this repo to your GitHub account, not your local machine, to your GitHub account. That's where we can make use of your forking. So fork is a copy of a repository, and forking a repository allows you to freely experiment with changes without affecting the original project. So most commonly, forks are used to either suggest changes to someone else's project or to use someone else's project as a starting point for your own data. So maybe let's say I have all these repos over here, and okay. So now here, let's say I have this project, just for the sake of example. Okay, I have this project. Now let's say you like this project, and this is an open source project. Now you have your own ideas out of this. So what you can do is you can copy this to your GitHub account, and you can start making the changes in your GitHub account, right? So you can start experimenting in all those things. So forking, it's a GitHub concept. It has nothing to do with your local repository, and it is used to copy someone else's repository to your own repo in GitHub. So this is from one GitHub account to another GitHub account. So here you see this fork option. For me, this is inactive because this is my repository. But let's say if I open something else, maybe let's say github.com/terraform. Okay, just for the sake of example. So let's go to the repositories, and let's take this one just for the sake of example. Now this is a repo. Now let's say I like this. Now you can see this fork option, right? So when I click on this, what will happen is all the data that I have over here will get copied over to my GitHub account. So all the code files and everything will be available in my GitHub account. This concept of copying from one GitHub account to another GitHub account, we call it as your forking. So, for example, this one. I mean, all these are my repos, but you can, not this one. Let me see this one. Yeah, so you can see it says forked from, right? So essentially that's what your forking is. So the changes made to forked repository are not reflected in the parent directory. So, like let's say I'm copying this to my GitHub account. Now whatever changes I'll do in my GitHub account will stay in my GitHub account only. All right. It will not have any effect in the parent directory. So if one wants to suggest any changes to the parent repository, you can make use of this fork repository. Questions?
So what if the user deletes the repository? So will the forked repository in our account also gets deleted, or will it stay?
No, it will not have any effect. Okay.
Okay.
So it's like you have created two copies. So now whatever
Okay.
you do in your account will stay in your account, and whatever the parent account will do, it will stay in that account only.
Okay. Even if he removes, so it won't create any problem for me.
No, no, because they are not like linked together. Okay, it's not like a synchronization that is happening between them. All right.
Okay. Got it.
No effect. Any other questions?
No, Ravi.
No, Ravi. It's clear.
That completes your Git and GitHub. Okay. So first tool we have in your DevOps, and you have successfully completed that. Now, the next tool we will be looking at is your Docker. Now, before we move to the Docker, it's important that we understand containerizations, containers. What are containers and why we have containers? So, do you have any idea as to what containers are?
No, Ravi. I don't know.
Okay, now let's say I have an application and I want to deploy that application. So, what will be your approach?
So I'll create an EC2, or I'll use the Lambda to deploy that application. I mean, yeah, AWS Lambda or EC2, and then I'll try to deploy.
Okay, sorry, give me one moment. There's an issue that I need to urgently look at. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Yes, stop the screen share for a moment.